This saxophone, this is actually, I inherited this saxophone from my dad. He bought it brand new in 1969.
Wow.
It's a saxophone he played in high school. It's actually the only saxophone I've really played. It's his mouthpiece too, same mouthpiece, same saxophone that he played in high school. In 8th grade, I started playing saxophone. I was playing alto, and in 9th grade, when I got to Hamilton, there were like 9 alto saxophone players in the C band. And so they were like, does anyone have a tenor? And I'm like, well, my dad had hella instruments in the house. So I was like, yeah, I have a tenor. And I actually took it without telling him. And he must have had like a heart attack because he thought someone stole it. I got home, he was wigging out because he had his closet that he had all his instruments in. I guess he looked in there and it wasn't there. He was like, but you know. Does it have a name? I used to date this girl that called it the Duchess. But yeah, he called it the Duchess, I guess. Yeah. What up, y'all? This is Kamasi Washington. I'm talking semantics with some Mann. Check it out. When I create, I usually don't know what the outcome is going to be. When I create, I'm usually kind of fishing for something, and I don't always get what I intended to get. You know, sometimes when I'm creating and I'm trying to write a sad song, and the happiest thing I ever played comes out. So I feel like when I create, music is coming through me, not always from me. When I'm up there on stage, I try to get out of the way and just let the music kind of take over. Even though before I get on stage, I make a plan and I have a set list and I have an idea as to how I want the show to kind of go. When I finally get on stage, I try to just be completely reactionary.
So, Sun Ra.
Yeah.
What do you think he meant when he was talking about space as a place?
Good question. I think Sun Ra had a realization that despite being very small and being very limited in where it seems that we can physically be, we're actually huge and unlimited. And like most people they can acknowledge the vastness of space and the fact that we're not only in space, we are space, and we can comprehend space, makes us big like space. And so I think, you know, he was kind of like, his understanding, he understood that, you know what I mean? That's why he had this very expansive way of thinking, and like, I think that's what he was trying to get at. Mm-hmm. Like our connection to the whole universe, which is kind of overwhelming when you think about the size and scope of it, but the fact that we can even grasp it, which we can, I don't know, sometimes I wonder if we can or if I can, but the fact that we even attempt to kind of as a marker of how our consciousness, you know, expands us to places that our physical bodies can't go. Mm-hmm. So you don't have to be afraid. I think he was a very fearless person. So I think that he was just letting us know that, like I said, like that we're bigger than we think we are. You know what I mean? Like space is a place. Like we're in space and we are space.
We bring them here through either isotope teleportation, transmolecularization, or better still, teleport the whole planet here through music.
Talk to me about like the imagery on the cover. Like what do you feel like when you look at that?
The backwards compatibility of information. You know, we look at like what we know now and our technology and what we have now as being the epitome of human understanding, but then you look back thousands of years and humans then had a different level of understanding than we do now. You know, the Egyptians obviously, like, they were a people and a culture who were very creative in their gathering of information. So they knew things that we don't know now. They had technologies and abilities to do things that, like, we can't really duplicate. Like, I forget the statue that we moved. I forget we moved. There was a statue we moved. I think it's Ramesses. And we couldn't duplicate their ability to have the sun rise and hit his face right at, you know what I mean? So there's things like that just, and they're just their understanding of the universe and time and everything that is just, you know, there's a sometimes to look forward, you gotta look back.
We work on the other side of time. Consider time as officially ended.
So the next one, Ornette Coleman.
Yeah.
What comes to mind when you hear Ornette Coleman, when you hear his name?
The freedom of music, you know. This is the first Ornette Coleman record I had. Ryan Porter gave it to me. It's interesting. I mean, a lot of the approach that myself and my band we take comes from Ornette. You know, like at least when I was hearing them growing up. At first, I didn't really realize what was happening, and then as I listened to it, I realized, oh, they're creating the harmonies as they go, and like that sense of that's a whole nother level of fearlessness in music, and it's part of why we make charts and we make arrangements and we plan ahead is because we're afraid to fail, and there's a degree of fearlessness you have to just go with the understanding that, like, it will be determined while we're going, you know, and that's, you know, Ornette, that invention is powerful, you know, and I mean, some people like the aesthetic of his music, some people don't, you know what I mean, but that idea to be free musically and not contain yourself with any preconceived notion, I think that anyone can appreciate that.
So can you talk about a little bit about, like, the connection between maybe like Malcolm X's ideology and, like, the free jazz movement?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're both trying to free people from the confounds of their minds. It wasn't a physical freedom that they were necessarily going after, even though it manifests itself in a physical form, like music, sound, or with Malcolm X and his social revolutions, basically. Malcolm X to me was trying to free people from the prison of self-hatred. You know, that's what he did for me, at least. And it even though it would come out as harsh, it's like when someone has convinced you to hate yourself, that you're ugly, that you're stupid, that your culture is primitive, and, you know, it takes a stern voice to pull you out of that. And we still haven't really caught up to what he understood, and you know, in 1965 when he passed away, or when he was taken from us. Ornette, to me, had a similar thing. You know, African American music is relatively young, you know what I mean? But as it has grown, and it's something that we struggle with even more now, to follow construct of what has been built before you don't leave very much room for personal expression. So, like, if you're gonna follow the rules of bebop and swing and ragtime and hard bop and modal jazz and all these other constructs that have come before us in music, well, then that's a lot of rules, and that's a lot of, like, there's a lot of directions to follow, and it won't leave much room for personal expression. I think what Ornette came to was that you don't need to follow anything. You just need to follow where you are at any given moment, and that's what free jazz is. And it's playing in the moment that you're currently in and not being so preoccupied with the directions of the plan. You know, so it was a freeing of the mind from restrictions. It's the same thing that Malcolm X was doing. I mean, people had restricted themselves to the point. I mean, it's a little different. I mean, I think Malcolm's work was a little more directed to fix something that had been broken, deliberately been broken. I think what Ornette was doing was fixing something that had inadvertently started to break. You know, so slight difference in what they were doing. I feel the most free when I'm letting music flow through me and I'm just playing, and sometimes, you know, it's ironically enough, I don't have control, but I feel free. There's a balance between your conscious mind and your subconscious mind, and I think freedom actually sometimes is, even though, you know, it's kind of counterintuitive, I think freedom sometimes is more associated with your subconscious mind, even though you don't have control over your subconscious mind. That is where the sensation of freedom, the sensation of letting go, because your conscious mind is always dealing with, you know, the rules of something, like, you know, the laws of physics, or the, you know what I mean, the laws of society, the, you know, the rules of engagement, you know what I mean, whatever they are, your conscious mind is always dealing with those. Your subconscious mind is kind of free to be whatever it is. And so for me, like, musically, there's a place you can get to when you're playing music where you really just let go, and it's like it just is happening and you're just almost experiencing it the same way someone who's listening to you is. And that's when I have the most feeling of like freedom. Like, I'm like, oh man, it's euphoric, and it's like I try to get to it every time. I can't always get to it, but when I get to it, it's a great feeling.